What's up, everybody? Welcome to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesar Sportsbook. I'm Katie Mox. Today, we're talking NBA storylines, topics, and tonight's picks with our guy, Jake Brown of the New York Post. Looking very svelte, my friend, but you're reeling from some bad beats.
It's the National Blowout Association. It's unbelievable. Guys just don't play the fourth quarter. You're expecting Nuggets Kings to be the game of the night. That's the
Yep.
game on Wednesday slate. You circle and say, maybe avoid the other games. Take this one. You need a Sabonis triple-double. He's got 7. He's 3 away after the third quarter. Doesn't play the fourth quarter. Need one Keegan Murray 3 the entire second half. Jamal got his 4. It was the Murray and Murray, the law firm. Jamal gets his 4 quick. Boom. Keegan gets 3 in the first half. Wow. Need one more. Let it ride. Doesn't make another 3. And then they tease you, Katie, because it's a blowout. And for some reason, the coach puts him back in the last 5 minutes. He might get it here.
Yeah.
He shoots one front rim. Then he has 2 open. He fakes and he goes in. He has like one of the dunks of the year on one of the plays. But it was just extra tease for him coming back in the game. And then, the Laker game. If it goes to overtime, you're like a rebound here, an assist here from hitting.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard takes a terrible shot running out of bounds. Lakers end up winning. So, just another night in the association,
Betting the NBA is tough. I feel like live betting the NBA sometimes is a little bit better because, again, you don't know who's playing. You don't know who's going to get pulled out, load management, all that stuff. Plus the injuries this season. I mean, especially to the Knicks, which we will get in right now. Knicks, Warriors tonight. You're obviously a Knicks fan. I can see that jersey hanging up behind you. I've got Steph Curry somewhere. Where is he? He's over there. I'm going to the game tonight. I'm so excited. My brother is here visiting me. We're going to MSG. He's never been there before. And obviously, that's just like a bucket list thing for people who aren't from New York, or even for people who are from New York, to go see a game at Madison Square Garden. Now, of course, because it's the Warriors and it's Steph Curry, the tickets were insane because everybody wants to see Steph Curry. But thinking about this game, it's interesting because the Warriors are favored by 4.5, depending on where you get it. I believe that line's gone up to 4.5. This total is 222. We got CP3 back with the Warriors. How do you think that his return will impact the chemistry of this Warriors team? Because I feel like they've missed him.
Well, yeah, I needed Keegan to make a 3 and Sabonis to get a triple-double to go to the game tonight because that's how unaffordable it is to even make the trip. So thanks, Keegan Murray, for making me watch. I'm going to go to a bar nearby, so I feel that just the vibe of being within a couple hundred feet of the arena. So maybe I'll see you after the game. But I think it's going to be a good one tonight. And, it's going to depend on Jalen Brunson staying healthy. But Chris Paul is essential for this team. And listen, the record is not going to show it because their record with Chris Paul is 17-16, and the record without him is 13-11. So you can't really tell by the record, but I think the impact he has, especially when Curry, like the other night, has an off night where he doesn't start making shots until late third or in the fourth quarter, having Chris Paul there when he's on, like Chris Paul makes 3 threes the other night. All right, Steph's bad. You got Chris Paul backing him up. I think that's essential. 1, 2, I think down the stretch, having that veteran leader and his presence with a lot of young players that the Warriors have, like a Jonathan Kuminga, who could, tap him on his shoulder and say, hey, do this better, do this. Not that Curry can't do that. He's a leader too, but Chris Paul has been through a lot of battles as well. So you kind of have a 1B in Chris Paul when it talks about maybe not championship experience, because I know he hasn't got there yet, but he's come so close. He's been around different coaches. So I think the dynamic Chris Paul brings off that bench, that Warriors team is just lacking a depth. And that was a missed piece they've had over the last couple of months. It's not your mom and pop's Warriors anymore. We know that. But with Clay having success coming off the bench now and CP3 back, maybe the Warriors could maybe get themselves out of the play-in and maybe into a more comfortable situation. Although, whatever it is, even if they're in the play-in, they're a team nobody wants to play come playoff time when they're healthy.
I said this 3 weeks in a row now, and I actually got this from my friend Jeff Johnson. The Warriors are like the Chiefs. If they can somehow get into the playoffs, they're always going to be a threat. And I do really believe that. And I agree with you when you talk about Chris Paul too. I mean, he just steadies the ship a little bit. And him coming off the bench, I feel like makes Klay Thompson better as well. Like CP3 just has such a high basketball IQ that he's going to be able to get more open shots for Clay. And if Clay is hitting those threes, it's okay if Steph Curry has an off night because he's been a little bit cold here in February. I expect him to bounce back again tonight. We'll talk about that. But I do think that Chris Paul has made this second unit a lot more productive, and him and Klay Thompson kind of on that, to use a hockey term, I guess, a second line or the second unit has been great. And I think we're going to see more of that tonight. Another thing is that when you look at this Knicks team, right, the Knicks and the Warriors are like two teams heading in different directions. It's a tale of like two teams, I guess you can say, right? The Warriors kind of start off slow and they're catching their stride right now. And then you got the Knicks that are just plagued by injuries. Julius Randle rumored to be considering surgery. What are your thoughts or what are you hearing on this Knicks team? Because they started so good.
Yeah, I'm not panicking until I hear those words and they're official. That I get the Woj notification that says Julius Randle's having season-ending surgery, and it's a weird predicament with Julius Randle here in New York because come playoff time, he has been atrocious. When it's in the playoffs, last couple of playoffs, he was awful, and if he could be good in the playoffs with Jalen Brunson, with OG
Yeah.
Anunoby, the Knicks are stacked and can win.
Yeah.
The Eastern Conference can maybe win a championship, but we haven't seen them all together for enough of a period of time. So, I'm hearing Randall's going to test it out and see if he could go without the surgery. And I think it's kind of a wait and see. He hasn't practiced enough yet to test the shoulder.
Yeah.
But that week is coming here in the next week or two. You're going to find out, all right, is he able to practice? Can he give the shoulder a go? But it's something you're going to monitor the rest of the way because even if he does come back, that's re-injures that shoulder. He's done for the year. The Knicks are finished. I think Knicks fans are now realizing they need him more than they thought they needed him. I think a lot of people said,
Yeah.
as long as OG comes back, we'll be fine without Randall. No, the only guy I think they could be fine without is Mitchell Robinson. I think they
Mm.
could still go on a deep run without Mitchell Robinson with how Isaiah Hartenstein and Precious Achiuwa have been playing. But without Randall, without OG, they are finished. The Knicks are 12-2 with OG Anunoby. So I think he is
Wow.
more, he's arguably more important than Randall, but they're both equally important because I think Randall gives you that scoring element. When they double team Jalen Brunson, you
Yes.
have Julius Randle. And if they double team Julius Randle, you have OG Anunoby in the corner who shoots 42% from the corner from three. So a fully healthy Knicks team, I think, is as good as anyone,
Yep.
but they got to get there. And it's something we're going to worry about, even with OG with an elbow. You're
Yeah.
talking about a shooter and an elbow injury. That flares up again. Again, the Knicks are toast.
God, there was so much hope in the city, when it started, and
It's still
especially
there. It's still
it's
there.
no, no,
Don't give
it's
it
still
away.
it's still there, but I feel like, you know, New Yorkers are, I know that there's some Nets fans, right? But not really. I feel like the Knicks are New York. When you look at the football teams, people are split. When you look at the baseball teams, people are split. But like New York rallies around the Knicks. Like that is the team that I feel like everybody loves. And you just, it's good for basketball. When the Knicks are good, basketball is more fun.
It's a Knicks town for sure, and Tracy Morgan and a lot of people have said it best. And then the Knicks win a championship, the city's going to burn down.
Yeah.
Like we won't know what to do. You have to cancel work for the
Yeah.
parade. No, if you're a company and you're making people go to work when there's a Knicks parade, it's been since 1973.
Wow.
You know, we have had us. Some people have had their parents never see a Knicks championship, and when they were in their glory days, 90s, early 2000s, when I first got into the Knicks, it was it reeled you into just the basketball scene,
Yeah.
period. You had Allen Houston, Latrell Sprewell, Patrick Ewing. It was must-see TV. Here's the Patrick
Yeah.
Ewing jersey behind me. So it's the thought of the Knicks going on a deep run gets you excited because you had a little sprinkle. You had a little
Yeah.
mozzarella stick, a little appetizer last year. Again in that second round, maybe a little fried calamari from a place that shouldn't be serving fried calamari, which I had the other day. But you want to go, to Arthur Ave. Now you're trying to
Yeah.
go to Arthur Ave and you're trying to get that elite chicken parm. And that elite chicken parm, I had to reference it once, is the Knicks going to the NBA finals. And I think fully healthy, it's not, people are going to say it's the Knicks. They're not going to get there. No, like this is a different team, a different element, but we just haven't seen it put together for enough, of a sample size. And the thought of it's exciting. So yeah, if the Knicks do go on a run, oh man, it's going to be a party in the streets here.
I've seen, I follow a lot of different like, New York social media accounts like Your and like those kind of things. And there was a video that was like, "If the Knicks win a championship," and that's what I said, "the city will burn down. You won't have a New York to come to anymore. There's not gonna be a LaGuardia or JFK." Like, if the Knicks actually win a championship, we will burn the city down so they could never lose again. And I was, like, rolling over laughing. I just was like, "Well, yeah, and that's how much
And
this
there's not many
town
chances
needs
to
it."
get it. That's why people are excited now because every
Yeah,
year in the NBA, things change. Superstars go here, superstars go there. Superstars have not come here.
yeah,
And if they can go on that deep run, even if they don't win it this year, if they go to the East Finals or go to the NBA Finals, you're telling me a superstar is not going to see this atmosphere? Maybe some of them come to the game. Donovan
yeah,
Mitchell, he's from here. He's at the games when his team might be out. Although Cleveland, who knows? They look pretty good. Maybe they go on a run. But who's these stars are going to see this atmosphere and say, "Wow, this is insane. I would love to
yeah,
play for the Knicks." There hasn't been that feel because they haven't been on that late '90s run to the finals
yeah.
that have made players really want to come here yet.
So what do you we're gonna get into this game, like, I've got some plays on this game, but when you look at it, Warriors laying the 4, the 4.5, the over 222, with the Warriors being as hot as they are and the Knicks kinda cooling off maybe a little bit, what's just, like, your lean on the overall game?
Well, I think let's say Jalen Brunson plays right now. He's
Right.
questionable. If he doesn't play, the
Yes.
Knicks will probably get crushed.
Yeah.
But I think if he plays, I think the Knicks cover here. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be one of those magical kind of nights. Like you said,
Yeah.
ticket price is crazy. You'll be in the building. They want you to lose. Come on. They want
Of
Katie
course they
to
do.
leave the building angry, see me
Yeah.
outside the arena happy. But
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be not
Yeah.
I wouldn't say a classic, but we saw the other night against the Pistons how good of a game that was, and that's the Pistons.
Yes.
I think the Knicks are coming into this game with a little bit of chip on their shoulder after
Yep.
the other night, an ugly game against New Orleans. I think Jalen Brunson's going to want to play in this. He knows who they're playing. He knows Steph Curry's in the building. The
Yep.
point guard battle. It's going to
Yep.
be fun to watch. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say the Knicks will win,
No.
but you know me, I like to buy the half
Yeah.
point, so I would
Okay.
take the Knicks plus 4.5, and
Mhm.
I think it'll be a shootout. I'm gonna hammer
The
the
over?
over. I think these
Yeah.
teams are just gonna go back and forth. I sense an overtime game tonight. I'd say maybe the Warriors win overtime, but it's
Yeah.
gonna be by one possession.
I agree with you in that I think it's gonna be a really great game, and we see time and time again, players play up at Madison Square Garden. The history of the building, the Mecca, it's like, Steph Curry broke his three-point record there. Players play up, and then I also think that teams play up when they play the Warriors too, because this is kind of a dynasty team, and like you said, Steph Curry is coming in the building. You're like, not in my house. You know what I mean? And so I do think it's gonna be a really fun game. I like that over too. I've got a couple individual plays, but when I was looking at it, I do think overtime is not something I thought of. That would be hopefully. I mean, that'll be fun. But I do like this over in that one. So switching gears here slightly, Wemby, who was the phenom, right, coming out of the draft, he's drawing a lot of wilt comparisons. Writers are saying that he could be the defensive goat. Too soon to say that?
I think it's too soon, but it's a fair point to make just looking at his size and the numbers so far at 20 years old. This kid just
Yeah,
turned 20 in January. Our bodies aren't even fully done by 20, I feel like. I feel like I
yeah.
went through my
The brain
IDs of
isn't.
the
Yeah,
7, 8 years and I became four different human beings. People didn't think it was me. So I think from 20 to like 28, your body's still changing. If he hits the weight room and gets stronger, who knows how much better he could even get. I mean, he's already at 20, 10, 3, 3, and 1 this year. He's becoming a better passer the last few weeks. He has 14 games with 15 games with 5 blocks or more, including the 10 block triple double, which you just never see. So he's also getting better with steals. There's a couple games
yeah,
that 3, 5 steals where he's doing it all on defense, where it's fair to put him in the conversation, but we're very much in the era of judging things too soon, putting guys in the Hall of Fame too soon. But it's also worth noting, Katie, that in this era versus those eras, versus the Gary Payton era, versus the Hakeem era, versus the no Dikembe Mutombo era, guys, there's no leniency now. You touch a
yeah,
guy at the foul where it's a
yeah.
tougher game to play defense, where he has to be commended for what he's doing in the era of touch a guy and get fouled, where
Right.
he hasn't fouled out a lot. They're watching his minutes, I know, but
Mhm.
he's doing it with this weird era of NBA soft basketball. And I think that should be noted and kind of an asterisk when you talk about it,
Right.
that he can be in that conversation. It's crazy when you think of like his dunks, and like it was compared to Monstar, the
Yeah.
Space Jam Monstar, when he's like a couple feet from the rim. It's just the ball's out here, and his arm is just so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ridiculously long that it's almost
He
superhuman.
does
So
look
I'm
like an
excited
alien. Yeah.
he is like he's an
Yeah.
alien, and when his body like even grows and he gets stronger, it's going to be fun to see. But you could put him in the conversation. I'm not going to put him past like Dikembe and Duncan, Hakeem,
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. Yeah, but I think quickly he's already probably entering what the top 25
Yeah.
of greatest defenders ever.
Which is so crazy. You touched on one thing that I think is an interesting and hot topic in the NBA is how it's gone, quote unquote, soft, right? And like you touch a player and it's a defensive foul. And so many people are taking advantage of this. We've seen several coaches come out in these press conferences just kind of beside themselves on what's going on. What is your take on on these fouls that players are just drawing fouls and they're winning games based on ridiculous amount of free throw shots?
Yeah, it's tough because in some aspects they're saying they're not getting enough calls. Look at Monty Williams the other night
Yeah.
yelling about what was like a tackle by Dante DiVincenzo. It should have been a foul, but in that situation here, you probably got to call it. He tackled his knees. There's some incidentals where they don't need to be calling it. It's so tough because I think a lot of refs, it seems, get intimidated because players are yapping at them where they feel the need to call the foul sometimes. So it's on the players, it's on the refs, it's on everyone. I think there just needs to be some more consistency.
Yeah.
And I think they got to change the reviews. The fact you get a review and then you only get a second, you should keep getting reviews if you keep getting them right. Like if you get two right, you should get a third without having to lose a timeout. I
Right.
think they need to be less restrictive on that. The games are already long. I don't think a game a couple minutes longer is going to lose an audience. It's not baseball where games were 3.5 hours. The rule changes, the clock has considerably brought game times down. I don't think NBA makes a difference. You're an NBA fan, you're watching no matter what, no matter if
Yeah.
it goes an extra couple minutes. I don't think the games are too long necessarily. So that's something I think they could fix with the replays and give these guys more chances at reviews if the refs are going to get it wrong. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them let it play more. I'd like to
Yeah.
see them, not give the veterans calls versus young guys. Jalen Brunson gets fouled so many times and they do not call it. And I feel like he hasn't earned the respect enough. So some guys, I don't feel they need to earn respect. A foul's a foul, no matter what you're LeBron or you're Cade Cunningham, you should be getting the foul call.
Agree. And it's so interesting because I feel like there was a lot of flack on NFL officiating this year, but it seems to be that like the NBA is even worse. Like the officiating this year has just been crazy. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Before we take a quick break here, I do have to ask you one New York football question. The Jets have granted Zach Wilson permission to ask for a trade. Thoughts? Yeah, please God. But
It's
like
not
who's
Sunday,
who's
but I'm
trading for
excited.
him is what I want to know too.
Is the Rocks XFL still around? No, I think Zach Wilson in the right spot, like at Kansas City, a team that has an incredible coaching staff, which the
He just
Jets
wants
have
to be
a
a backup. He doesn't want to play.
he's not going to be a starter ever in the league,
Yeah.
ever again. Can
No.
he play in the league as a backup for an injured starting quarterback? Yes. It needs to be the right situation. The Jets had a terrible coaching staff, especially offensively. He was in an atrocious situation. And how funny was it that McCall Hardman reportedly given out playbooks in the two best games of his life against the
Yeah.
Eagles and Chiefs? Zach Wilson's best games were when the other team knew his play. So
Yeah.
that's the problem with him. His best games come in losses. He just needs a fresh start somewhere where there's no pressure on him. He had the pressure
Yeah.
here of being the number 2 pick and always having something to live up to. He goes to the Chiefs and as a backup or third string, he's got no expectation. The pressure's off. He's having ribs on a Saturday night in Kansas City. All is good and grand for Zach Wilson. I think in the right situation, like their backup third string, someone will take him. Now, trade wise, I'd be shocked if anyone gives up better than like a 7th round pick, maybe a conditional 6th round pick.
Yeah.
I don't think he's put enough on tape to really trade for him. But I could see a 7th round pick for Zach Wilson, and the
Yeah.
Jets will take anything at this point. And if not, they'll cut him. He will not be on the Jets roster, and there'll be pickets, riots in the streets for the wrong reasons in New
Yeah.
York if Zach
Right.
Wilson is back, or in the swamps. There'll be people on boats in the swamps of East Rutherford if Zach Wilson is back.
Oh God. Well, you said something interesting about, all of the pressure being on him as a number 2 overall. The combine is going on right now. And there's always a lot of talk about New York being the one of the toughest markets for athletes to play in just because of the New York media can be brutal. What do you think it takes to be an athlete on a New York team?
You got to be built different. It takes a tough mindset that Zach Wilson did not have. And it's
Yeah.
something that's hard to read in the draft process. The Jets were also in the tough situation of the pandemic, trying to judge guys and see guys. That kind of messed some things up, I think, for them, that they didn't really get the hands on kind of, stuff that they could get with all these quarterbacks. So I think that hurt them. And I think that, he went to BYU and wasn't even good there. So I think it takes
Yeah.
one, coming from a college where you played against great teams, you had winning experience. You have to have that winning pedigree coming to New York, because losers don't make it. You got to be
Yeah.
a fighter. You got to be tough, and don't challenge the fans. I think there's some guys come here and they struggle and they'll challenge the
Yeah.
fans, or they'll send out a dumb
You'll
tweet.
never win against a New York fan base.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these young Jets are tweeting and stuff, and it's fun sometimes, but I think some of them got to take a little bit of a step back. They have won nothing. And yeah, while Sauce has been unreal
Oh
and some of
god.
these players have been unreal, they got to realize they haven't won anything yet. So until they win, I would take that down a little bit. But yeah, it takes a different mindset, and Zach Wilson didn't
Yeah.
have it. Certain guys do have it. I think you look at the Rangers right now, the New York Rangers, and this kid Rempe coming in.
Mm,
And that's the mindset New
yeah.
Yorkers love. And hockey's different. You can't go out on a baseball field or basketball court and start throwing punches. But that tenacity, that fight, and
Yeah.
getting the crowd into it, he's already a hero and he's been here a week. So that's the kind of player, that kind of mindset. Us New Yorkers love those gritty guys.
Jake, it sounds like you're saying they've all got moxie.
Nah, I see what you did there.
Aha, on that note, we're gonna take a quick break. You're watching Moxie Bets. We'll be right back. Why should you bet with Caesars Sportsbook? Two words: Caesars Rewards. Every bet brings you closer to the type of benefits only Caesars can offer: hotel stays, VIP experiences, sports and concert tickets, and more. It's not just an app, it's an empire. All right, welcome back to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Here with my guy Jake Brown of the New York Post, and we are going to get into the games tonight. Now, it's a pretty full slate tonight, so we've just picked our favorite against the spread, and or money line picks or side or total, and then we've also got some props as well. So, looking at a side, a total, or a spread, what's your first bet here? Oh,
Uh,
you're taking all props. You're a prop monster today.
Yeah, well, for this is a side. I mean, I guess I'll go Knicks plus 4.5. We're going spread, but I
Okay.
just went
Yeah.
crazy on the props
Yeah.
tonight, being
Yeah.
the big prop guy. And
Mhm.
Deontay Murray over 8.5 assists at plus money. He's got 11 assists the last 2 games. He has been an assist machine and a triple double threat almost every night without Trey Young. So I like that as a prop. If we're going total spread or side, Brunson healthy, I'll take the Knicks plus 4.5.
I like that. I'm looking at the Warriors team total over 112.5. Interesting. It was 113 with a little better odds. Now it's juiced to minus 125. But the Warriors are hot right now, right? And they're averaging about 119 points per game. That's a sixth ranked in the NBA. I was originally liking the full game side over, but like you said, we don't know Jalen Brunson if he's playing or not. And the Golden State Warriors do have the fourth best defensive rating over the last 14 games, allowing just 109 points per game. So I do think that the Warriors could potentially cover this one, but I'm going to take them over on their team total at this 112.5. They've just been on fire. I also think with Chris Paul coming back, opening things up for Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry's been a little bit cold. I've got a pick on him coming up here next, but I think he heats back up tonight. I think players play at the Garden. So I'm going to take the Warriors team total. What else are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm going more props. I'm going all the props for you tonight.
I
Is
love it.
is Wendell Carter over 11.5 points. It's around
Mhm.
minus 125 right now.
Okay.
I think that's a lock. I think Utah this season has allowed the most points to centers over the last 30 games. And Wendell Carter center, he's been a scoring machine of late. Give me Wendell Carter, the Magic. And Banchero's coming in a little banged up. I think he's ill coming to the game. He might not
Okay.
be at 100%. So I like Wendell Carter with how bad Utah is against centers.
Okay. Okay. I like it. I'm going to take the Wizards plus the 9.5, which I know is crazy because they're one of the worst teams in the NBA. But this just seems like the Lakers fleeced you last night in your bet, so we need a little payback for this, anyways. But they're coming off of an emotional win. It just feels like a classic letdown spot, right? Overcoming a 21-point deficit versus your in town rival, LeBron James scoring 19 of his 34 points in the fourth quarter alone. Like, this just feels let down. I think the Lakers win this game, but I'm going to give the 9.5 to the Wizards, mostly because the Lakers have also struggled with like back to back wins. It seems like they're kind of alternating wins and losses over the last 5 games. And while Washington sucks, they've lost 12 straight games. They are 3-1 against the spread in their last 4. So, I'm going to give them 9.5. I think it's a classic letdown spot, at least against the spread for the Lakers. It's another prop you got.
And listen, if you want to stay away from this, I get it because he can be extremely frustrating to bet on. And that's Fred Van Fleet. Over 2.5 3-pointers. Here's my logic on this.
Wow. Okay.
The Suns have given up the most threes to point guards in the NBA this season. Fred Van Fleet, his volume is there. The last 3 games, he's shot 7 threes, 10 threes, and 14 threes. That 14 threes, who did it come against? He made 6 of them. It came against the Phoenix Suns. So he
Okay.
just did this a week ago. And, if you want to get crazy, ladder it. Give me a 3+, a 4+,
Ooh.
and a 5+. 5, it's a little spicy, but the 3 and the 4, listen, he's done it two of the last 3 games, and he made 6 against Phoenix on February 23rd. So, it's one where you might hate me after, but you might be like, wow, that was genius. Fred Van Fleet, 3-pointers over 2.5.
Well, also, I just feel like it's the analysis is there. Like, it makes sense as to why you would take this. I'm gonna go with my guy. I have to lean back. Wardell Stephen Curry. I'm taking him over 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists. When I looked at his prop line, Stains, particularly his scoring prop, but a lot of his prop lines are a little bit low right now. And I just feel like it's a good buy low spot because he's been in a bit of a slump, right? He's only scored more than 20 points one time in the past 5 outings. That's not like him. He's 8 of 37, excuse me. Yeah, 8 for 37 from 3-point range. That's only 22% over his last 3 games. But you got to think this is Steph Curry. He's going to bounce back. Before he's been in this February slump, he was averaging 34 points per game over the previous 10 games. The Knicks have allowed a lot. They're weak. They're weak beyond the arc. They allow a lot of 3 points. Top 10 frequency is what they allow for 3-pointers. So national TV at the Garden. Give me Steph Curry for it all. Over 35.5 points rebound. I think you can get this just some points in threes.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Okay.
And I was at the game. He broke the record, by the way, the
You were
3-point
at that game?
record. I was at that
Oh,
game. I was up in the Chase Bridge. I was way up there. But it
whatever.
was a special moment. They stopped the game. His dad comes out there. It was special. So I hope you get the same kind of special treatment tonight.
I do too. Well, I was working at MSG Networks at the time, and so we covered the game obviously a lot beforehand. I didn't the tickets to that game were insanity because he was a threat to break it for the weeks or whatever coming up to that, but everyone thought he was saving it to do it at Madison Square Garden. But I really did appreciate Knicks fans and MSG for how it wasn't one of their players, but it was a moment in history, and we got the standing ovation, and I really appreciated the way that the Knicks fans handled that.
Yeah.
And for you,
We
you were
do we
there for history.
I was. We got one
Yeah,
more prop I got to give
we
away
do.
here.
One more.
Okay.
One more.
We talked about him early. I got to go with Wemby. I think the matchup against Chet tonight, I think there's going to be an extra chip on his shoulder. He's going to want to show him I'm the captain now. He's going to want to show the seven
Look
foot
at me.
one
Look at me.
Chet. He wants to show him I'm the captain, and he's going to do it with rebounds. And he's probably going
Mhm.
to have a great all around game. But I like rebounds best here. The Thunder are not good against centers. Again, Chet's big, but he's not that strong. We know he needs to go to the weight room a little bit. They've allowed 4th most rebounds in the NBA to centers, and
Mm.
I think Wemby's going to feast off that. Wemby had a 13 rebound game against Rudy Gobert and the Timberwolves. Why can't he get over 11.5 against Chet and the Thunder? I think, even that spread's a little high. I was debating when we said spread plus 11 for the Spurs, but the Thunder, you never know with them. They could blow them out. But in San Antonio, again, he hits over 11 and a half boards in his sleep. This month, he's had a 14, 14, 13, 14, 13, 13 rebound
Jesus.
game. So give me over 11 and a half. And if you want to get spicy, ladder that too. Take him
Mm.
over 12 and a half. Take him over 13 and a half rebounds for Victor Wembanyama.
I love that. I'm gonna go with boards too, but more the, traditional guy that you take, Jokic, the Joker, over 12.5 rebounds tonight. It's at -113. You talk about people sitting out in the 4th quarter, well, he was one of them, and he really took a back seat, it seemed like, in the scoring department versus the Kings. He only had 14 points. There were 4 other starters that took more shots than he did, in that game. He didn't even play in the 4th quarter, but he still managed to record his 4th straight triple-double. I mean, at this point, Jokic is just insanity. He only had 11 boards, but again, he didn't even play in the 4th quarter. So he had 11 rebounds in just 3 quarters there. He hit over this mark in 3 straight games. And when I look back to the NBA playoffs last year, in game 3 versus the Heat, he had 21 boards in 1 game. I don't think he's sitting out anything in this game. I like him to get at least 13 rebounds. Maybe I'll ladder that as well with you and think that Jokic absolutely just goes off today, because even if he's not scoring, he's getting rebounds. That's
I'm
exactly.
laddering. I'm laddering so much you would think I'm a fireman. I got to do podcasts. I'm not a firefighter. I could never be a firefighter.
Well, yeah, you're laddering. I like it. All right, time now for Mox Locks. What is the one thing you are absolutely taking to the window today?
Anthony Davis over 11 and a half rebounds.
Okay.
And the scary part of this is blowout potential, but it is
Yeah.
the second night of a back to back for the Lakers. I think they might be gassed. There is a chance maybe they sit LeBron against the Wizards, against a bad Wizards team, and centers feast on the Washington
Yeah.
Wizards.
Oh,
They
yeah.
feast
Oh,
against
yeah.
them, especially with Gafford traded. The Wizards have allowed the most rebounds to centers in the NBA. They've allowed the fifth most points to centers in the NBA. So if you want to take the points instead of rebounds, do that. If you want to do both, do that. But I think, after a couple of nights, he didn't go crazy on the boards. He's going to feast on the Wizards. Maybe a ladder that too. If we want to put out all the fires, do you think Sean Kingston's performing Shorty Fire burning on the dance floor with all the ladders that we are taking out to the betting bank tonight on a thirsty Thursday, the end of February, leap year, go
Leap
crazy.
year.
It's leap year day. You're at the
Yeah.
Garden, Knicks Warriors. It's going to be a night, and everyone's cashing out tonight.
And you know what? Because the Knicks are possibly going to win a title this year. The whole city is going to be burning. Thank God we have all these ladders to help put out some of these fires, is all I'm going to say. I got to go. My Mox lock is going to be this guy going off tonight at the Garden. I'm taking him over the 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I think it's going to be, look, I'm just rooting for a good game. I mean, of course, I want the Warriors to win, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be special with my brother to be there at MSG watching the Warriors. So I am very excited. Jake, you got a million podcasts with the New York Post. So tell me what you're working on right now.
I feel like they've gone
You've got
down.
like
They've been
4.
decreasing.
Yeah.
We're in the off season now, so it's light, but
Yeah.
we do expect amazing but true. Mets season's coming up to be
How you
back
feeling about
here.
the Mets?
Pretty terrible. They
Yeah.
stink. They are.
Yeah.
They're going to be
There
an
was
80
so
win
much
team.
hope going into this last season that
Yeah,
that
and
now there's no hope, right? I mean, it's just like,
0.1% chance they make the play. And I am the optimist. I'm usually like,
yeah.
playoffs. Like last year, I said we're winning the World Series. The Mets will be 80 win team. But, if you want to commiserate with me, that'll lead to better rants with how many
Yes.
bad losses they'll have. Luckily, Edwin Diaz is back. Maybe I'm wrong. They're very under the radar where maybe they surprise some people, but the Senga injury really screwed them up early on in the year to lose your ace already to a rotation that's not that good. So amazing but true. Gangs all here should be back soon with free agency stuff. Jets already are in the headlines with this Hardman stuff now and coaches and this and that. So the Jets are always in the Twitter headlines. So
Yeah.
free agency and then draft is not too far away. Some draft breakdowns for the 10th pick. So gangs all here. Up in the blue seats I produce, we have going. If you're a Ranger fan, that's actually exciting right now with Brian
Yeah.
Boyle as a co-host. I think they have arguably a better shot than the Knicks to win a championship this year. So
Yeah.
check them out and follow me at Jake Brown Radio. And I'm on Live Take app, sports app. I do like a little debate show every week for 10 minutes. So check out Live Take.
Live
Yeah.
take. I'm gonna check that out, and again, you can follow him on social at Jake Brown Radio. As always, such a pleasure to hang out with you. Be on the lookout, guys, for our March Madness Bracket Challenge. We did it last year. It was successful. If you have, I love that I could tell you're in the city because I can hear a siren going by.
Right
It's
after we talked about the
it's all
firemen,
the
the
ladders.
sirens going by.
It's all the ladders, exactly. When I used to do this pod, and I lived in the city, we'd have to break down every 5 seconds because there was a siren that was going by. But anyways, guys, last year our Moxie Bets bracket challenge was so successful. If you win, you get a guest spot here on Moxie Bets. So take a look out for that. We'll have more information coming soon. This has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesar Sportsbook. Don't forget to follow us on social as well at Moxie Bets. We'll see you next time.